It was Dr. Miles Monroe, who put it so profoundly, and he said, when the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse becomes inevitable. This quote encapsulates exactly what this podcast is about, and that is helping you dig deep inside of yourself to excavate your true purpose in whatever space you're in. I believe that without a clear understanding of our purpose, life has no meaning, no direction. I mean, what's the point of having or owning an object or a thing and not knowing its true intended purpose? So my guest today will help you answer that question as he unpacks the purpose of purpose. He is well known for his lead role in the first Zimbabwean movie on Netflix called Cook-Off. Yay! He's also the founder of one of my absolute favorite African movements and projects called Tisu Ngoda Dzacho, which literally translated from Shona means we are the diamonds they speak of. See what I did there? Excavation, diamonds. Oh gosh, I'm so full of purpose, I'm lyrical. But I digress. He is none other than Tehn Diamond. The fresh prince of purpose himself is here. Welcome. My name is Farai, your host and purpose whisperer, and this is the Purpose Cafe, your go-to hangout for percolating, stimulating, and Afro-soul-filling purposeful conversation. Each week, I sit down with amazing African people who are purposefully making an impact in their spaces and communities, from business leaders and entrepreneurs who are crushing it, thought leaders to homemakers, community builders and change makers, upcoming young leaders and tastemakers, top talent and creators. We talk all things purpose, the purpose of life, to the purpose of music, the purpose of brands, the purpose of books, the purpose of Africa, and everything in between. So grab yourself a purpose espresso and let's get chatting. Tehn, how are you? How are you, my brother? I'm so excited to have you on this podcast. I know it seemed a bit of short notice, 2-3 days, but I would say a good speaker, a good orator. I'm pretty sure you've kind of prepared yourself. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being super awesome and super good, and 1 being totally in the doldrums, how are you feeling today?
You know what? In spite of everything, I think I am at about a 7.
You're at a 7?
I'm at about a 7, yeah.
Explain 7. 7 is an odd number. Mm-hmm. Explain 7.
I like 7 because I still feel like I have a bit of room to kind of like drop down a little and without going past like 5, maybe settle at 5, but also still room to go up a little. But I don't tend to really, I don't shoot up too much. So I'm like if I peak at 9, I'm happy there. But I'm at a 7. It's been a pretty harrowing like week or 2. So I'm part of that is being able to be here and have this conversation with you. I mean, you said short notice, but for me, when purpose calls, I'm happy to come running. So
I'm super excited. I know, and I get you when you say 7, because the stuff that's just been going on around us, and the whole world, and just the whole dreariness around it. I guess 7 is pretty good, right? 7 is pretty good. So, and how is Zim? Tell me about how what's happening in Zim. What is the best thing that's happened in Zim this week? We want to talk good stories.
I would
right?
say
what is the best thing that happened?
I would, and this is before I check in with like my farmer friends and stuff, but I would say it's been the good, healthy, consistent rains. Yeah, that's got to be like the best thing that's happened in the last. If you'd asked me last week, I'd have said the same thing. It's been raining nicely, and I feel like the sun, and I don't know if it's just a Harare thing, but the sun keeps coming out every day as well, so it feels kind of balanced. But you know, like I said, this is without checking in with my farmer friends who might say, "Well, there's a bit too much now." So, but I'm, the rain. That's the best.
I hear that it's been. My dad is a farmer, and he says that it's been probably the most rain he's seen in years.
Yeah, we're having a good rainy season. We're having a really good. Yeah. And, a good rainy season means maybe we beat back the drought and the famine, but the hunger, at least I think people will get fed. That's what good rains means. So I'm very happy about that.
Awesome. And so talking about Zim, what is the one thing that people don't know about Zimbabwe?
I know a lot of what people think they know is the bad stuff. So let me tell you something that I think people don't know.
No. Yes.
I think
I'm excited too. I'm excited to know this too. I know I'm from Zim, but I'm just excited to hear your answer.
I think one thing they don't know is, in spite of how difficult and the many things that we face, problems, issues, whatever, what have you, all these different angles. I think people don't really know how we look at it all. Like, I think we have, and sometimes I think we don't even really notice this, but we have this incredible ability to kind of just see things as just another challenge. Like, and no matter how kind of like daunting or ridiculous, like you'd think by now, you'd think we'd have gone kind of insane by now, or gotten very bitter or gotten very violent. But we're just like, okay, we'll make a plan. We'll make a plan.
Yeah.
We'll make a plan.
The resilience of the Zimbabwean people is just something for the history books, right? It is
I don't even know if resilience is still the right word. You know how like there's words in languages where like, oh, this word, there's this word, but there's no word for it in English. I think I don't know what the word. I don't know if English is really doing it justice, because my people keep it pushing.
Okay. Do you have a word for it in Shona? Do you have a word for it?
You know what? I think I'd have to dig deep and find like some deep Shona for it, because it's something it's something I've really started thinking about lately in terms of what is that, because it's not necessarily like we're just like, oh, sunny disposition, like, oh, positive thinking. It's just just keep getting on with it, but like
it's almost inherent in our psyche, right?
Yeah,
as a collective.
And I honestly, I mean, I know I say it's a good thing. It's something that people don't really know about us, but I don't know if it is a good thing. Like, it could be like some coping mechanism with incredibly great benefits, perhaps. Like, okay, you survive and you're resilient, but like, is it good? But I don't know. But it interests me.
Do you know what I would say? It probably is. I think it's a superpower. You know, should we say it? Should we?
Definitely not. It's definitely some kind of superhuman disposition. I would probably put it somewhere at the intersection of purpose, perseverance, and positivity.
Yeah. You've put it in such a, and I think it's a segue for us to talk to move on to purpose. So you're talking about the Zimbabwean people being resilient, yes, but purpose. I think they haven't lost that sense of purpose, and perhaps maybe it is a space that we could put that people as Africans as something that other Africans can perhaps learn from. I mean, is that something that
definitely, I think when you're forced to dig deep daily right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think it's enough to just be like, all right, I need to put some food on the table, or all right, I need to this is like at some point you like, what people may think is rock bottom, but like what's usually down there is a piece of purpose, like the beginning of like there's something a little bit more that's keeping you going than what you see on the surface, or even what you yourself as the person realize or fully understand. So like I do this like daily live on Instagram, and I'm always saying to like my I guess my tribe, I'm always saying like, look, we may not be perfect people, but we are purpose people, and and that's definitely about perseverance and positivity and resilience, and I think because it's not like it's it's not like it's like war times or anything like that, where you can be like, whoa, there's bombs dropping. It's just like day to day, small, micro, like, every day I'm getting up, I'm doing what I need to do. I'm getting up, I'm doing what I need to do. That kind of consistency, that over time, I think that's definitely something that we can learn from ourselves, because I don't think we're always so aware of how incredible it is and amazing it is, and how worthy of applause it is. But also I think a lot of people can learn that from us. I not only do I believe every person has a purpose, but like every grouping, every community, every nation has something to offer to the world and teach and also learn from the world, obviously. But
yeah and so you talking about that, so it's almost as if there is a sense of purpose which is attached to hope, in a sense, around the Zimbabwean people, but I'm also want to expand it to the African people as well in general, that there's almost always a sense of hope within the African people, and despite the things that are constantly thrown at them, it's like they get up again, and this is one of the reasons I think for the podcast is that we've been hit with this challenge with this global pandemic, and on a daily basis it's almost like somebody is saying to me, how are you dealing with this? How do I deal with this? People are asking themselves questions. How do I get to a place where I've lost both my parents and I have lost an aunt? How do I get to a place where I find a sense of hope again? I've lost my job. How do I get to that place? So for me, purpose also kind of aligns itself to a certain hopefulness. And lack of it also is kind of attached to a certain hopelessness as well. One of the key kind of principles or things that I really believe about purpose, I believe purpose paints pictures, and the picture that purpose paints is what we are used to calling our vision. And I think the good book says it best, like where there is no vision, the people perish. And there's a reason for that, because where you don't have some perception or some idea or some hope or expectation, like I love the definition of hope that says confident expectation, where there is no confident expectation of the future, the people perish. You can't, it's hard to continue without the sense or the feeling that there is more beyond this moment, this day, this week, this month, this too shall pass, this season, So purpose is the seed of vision, and I feel like that as part of a byproduct of that vision or the seed of purpose is definitely hope. Hope is one of those things. Yeah, personally, I mean, I definitely buy into purpose, and I think also attached to it is the why. Why am I here? Why am I existing? And I think a lot of people have not gotten to that point where they understand that there is a why. And going back to what you're saying about the good book, I don't believe that God just sits there in all his wisdom and just creates things for the sake of creating things. There is a reason why he created mankind, and there is that's in general, right? And then there's a specific reason why he created you specifically as a human being at such a time And I think it's then the onus is then on us to try and find that purpose. And I think you put it well in one of your IG lives, and you said that it's not about us finding our purpose. We already have it. It's about us defining it.
Yeah, I say that in every single episode because
okay.
it's like aside from purpose paints pictures, that is like another just core principle for me when it comes to purpose, that I feel like we have been I won't say fed a lie, but I'm very much against this myth, right? This notion that purpose is something that we have to go out into the world to discover. Oh, I'm trying to find my purpose, I'm trying to discover my purpose. I feel like it's a cruel notion. It's put purpose too far away from people, when what I actually believe is that none of us are born empty, and if purpose is seed, then like anything else, like a orange, its seed is inside of the orange. So our seed is inside of ourselves, and it's not a case of finding it, but actually just defining it. And I try to hammer this home to people, because I feel when you kind of look at it as something for you to define, it gives you a place to start from. I'm always encouraging people, like, write down what you think your purpose is, and as you go about your life, what you're going to be finding or discovering is, well, whether you've defined it correctly or not, or whether you need to fine-tune the definition, because I don't think purpose is stagnant. I think with even just with the way God works, or the way God has been seen to work, like when you read the book, like there's a lot of mistake. Like he tends to use a lot of really broken, faulty kind of people.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's simply because like that's all that's available, which I don't believe. There's your close to perfect people, I'm sure, but like I think it's very, very intentional, in the sense that the more I read, I'm just like, it seems like God is constantly saying, like, no matter how much you guys mess up my plan, or think you've messed up my plan, or messed up even your plan, I'm going to use what is there. Like, I'm going to use what is there, and my purpose is going to come to light. And I think it's an example of us kind of taking on that same attitude, like, no matter what goes on or happens that I maybe either in my control or not in my control, I am going towards the expression or fulfillment of my purpose. So
Right. And my I fully agree with you. Because my belief is that the purpose of life is to actually give it back to God.
Yeah.
And I think one should actually start there. Okay, I'm giving it back to God. Where do I start? Then ask God, where do I start? But I know that my purpose is to give it back to Him. But it's then the how. It's then finding the how rather than finding your purpose.
Yeah,
right?
The how is a lot trickier than the why. The why, you just write down a why and then see what sticks. Get started. Let's not have you sitting at home meditating and praying and hoping for too long. Like I'm always saying, like, prayers are good, but God also answers effort. So I think the how is much more tricky. There's purpose, your why, that and that paints this picture, which is your vision, which a lot of people think of as like the what you're trying to do. But I also think of vision as like a secondary why, because it's like the why on the two whys on either side of the how. So there's the why of purpose, which is more of like it kind of deals more with like identity. And then on the other side, there's the why of vision, which deals more of like destination or destiny, if you will. And then in the middle, that gap in the middle, that's what really needs to be filled. That's that's mission. That's how am I going to get this done? What's the path I'm going to take? And the sooner you can get on the path and start to make some mistakes, because mistakes are healthy. The sooner you can get to failing and I love the quote that says fail forward fast, and that's what you want to get to doing as soon as possible.
Yeah. Are we on the road to some mathematical formula here? Because I think seriously we are creating history here. You said purpose. No, just repeat what you said in the last sentence. You said you got the why on the one side, and then you've got your vision,
and then you've got, and then
I was saying, like,
okay, here we go. Okay,
I feel
just repeat that.
So I was saying, like, I feel like there's people always think of purpose as your why, right? But I feel like there's two whys, you know, and the one why being the why of purpose, which is more to do with identity, like who am I, why am I here? And then on the other side, because I believe purpose paints pictures, and the picture that purpose paints is your vision for your life.
Your vision, right?
And that vision, that's the other why, which is more a why of destiny or destination. But in between the road or the distance or the tension between purpose and vision, that's your mission, that's your how, that's the path, and figuring that out. I don't want to say figuring out your mission is your mission, but that's the real crux of everything. Like, that's the action part. That's If vision is purpose in pictures, mission is purpose in action, and that's the important part.
Tehn, I'm just feeling TED Talk here. I'm feeling so TED Talky right now. Maybe I am putting it out there, on your behalf. And it's probably coming, and it's probably something that you are.
Well, if it happens, I'm going to be thanking you first. Trust me.
TED Talk, here we come. So I was just thinking as well this morning, just in preparation for this interview, it's a quote that I've heard so many times, and it's a quote that, the first time I heard it just blew my mind, which was, a couple of years ago, was from Miles Monroe. When a purpose of a thing is not known, abuse becomes rife, or abuse is inevitable. And it just takes me back to a friend of mine who has a 5-year-old son.
Abnormal use, he called it.
Sorry?
When abuse, he broke it down as abnormal use. I remember.
Abnormal use.
Yeah.
Yes. And so she has a 5-year-old son, and on 3 occasions I've seen him, pick up body spray, thinking it was air freshener. Whenever he senses a foul smell, he goes, picks up body spray and sprays it all around and says, it's smelling in here. And it's only when my friend realized that, she was wondering why her body spray is finishing, and this is a child who doesn't know the purpose of the thing that he has in his hand.
Yeah.
And therefore, the abuse.
Yeah.
Or, what's the word you use?
Abnormal use. Yeah.
Exactly. So understanding the reason why you have a thing, or the reason why you are a thing, I think is also pretty important.
Extremely
so, for example,
important, yeah.
Your body, understanding that you have this body to accomplish your purpose, to reach your destiny, and therefore look after your body, look after it, stay healthy, and especially more so now in this pandemic, right? And if we're talking about Africa and its resources, the abuse of its resources, we don't even want to go to the whole politics of it, but, we don't really know the reason why we have these resources, and therefore, some of the troubles that Africa has. For example, our time even, if you don't know the reason why you have time, you waste it and then look back and then there's regrets.
Yeah.
So I think where I want to go is just really about the abuse of purpose, the abuse of the things that we have at our disposal to help us reach our destiny, or to keep us in a place of hope. Because I think sometimes hopelessness comes when we have not used the tools that we have in the right way. Or maybe I'm just being long-winded and I hope you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yes, I think so.
You think so? I'm trying to sound all, very, I'm talking to the Fresh Prince of Purpose. So I need to kind of step it up a bit, and maybe I'm falling fast forward. But anyway.
So in terms of like how we well, in terms of as Africans, or as Africa, in terms of Africa, and how we haven't really made the most of everything at our disposal. I think that definitely does speak to a lack of purpose, or a lack of understanding our purpose or place. And I hate to say it, but I think it also comes from like a long line or period, or many centuries of like kind of being told and made to feel like you're not worth anything more than a body that's going to do our work, or
right.
Your God or your spirituality or your culture is not as important as ours here. And this constant kind of like, whether directly or indirectly, being kind of made to feel like you don't have a purpose. Why would you have a purpose? And I think in doing that, it kind of, I think the moment you don't appreciate who or what you are, it's then just almost logical and extremely easy to not appreciate the things you have, or worse yet, to not even know that, hey, you have these things are under your dominion.
Right.
You should have a say. And all the amazing things that you think other cultures and other races are doing in the world, well, understand that so much of that is off the back of the things that you have, that you still have, that you could still unlock the value of if you understood its purpose and understood your place in extracting and expressing that purpose as well.
Right.
So I mean, with me, one of the things at the core of like my mission or my purpose is building belief in Africa, from the individual right up to countries is like where I'd love to go with it as far as vision. So I'm not saying, I don't know if I'm critical. I guess I'm a little bit. I'm somewhat critical of like religion and churches sometimes, because I feel like sometimes the thrust is so much on building churches and building congregations and building these things, when the more and more I read the book myself, the more I see that it's about building people, building belief in people,
building the spirit.
So that people can also build belief in their families and in their communities, and letting people really believe in themselves. And like, even I don't even remember which verse it is or what it is, but like there's a part where Jesus says, like, all these things that I have done, you too shall do them, and more, or something like that. I don't remember the exact wording, but like for me, the whole point is to first show and express this ideal, which is God come to earth as Jesus, and then that ideal says, hey, all I have done, you can do it and more. And I think I don't really understand why that kind of message of it is not really expressed upon us as much. But I think that's something very key that's missing in Africa, that belief.
That verse that you've just said in itself, for me, says then I have a purpose.
Yeah.
Because if he says I can do more, then it means I am a tool to be used to do more, right? So it means I have a purpose. And therefore, going back to what we spoke about earlier, that I don't need to start looking for my purpose. I need to start thinking of the how.
Look for your path.
Look for my path, yes. Because I already have a purpose. And that is to do his will. If he said it, then it obviously means it's his will. It's not anybody's will. I'm not here to do my own thing. And I think that lack of clarity, of not understanding that, makes, for me, it makes life become like an experiment. And when life becomes an experiment, I mean, without no purpose or activity that has no meaning, time and energy are certainly going to be misused. Then it's just a random waking up, going to work 9 to 5 and back, and that is it.
I think
literally got one foot in the grave.
I feel like,
so to speak.
I feel like it's even though I do get what you're saying, but I feel like it's probably better if life is an experiment. I feel like you do need to test things out and have that sureness of like, yo, give that a try and see if your path is down this way. Oh, it's not. Well, don't be afraid to go and give this a try, because maybe that's where it is. Like, I feel like purpose is definitely layered and it changes as we change, or maybe it changes with us in the same way. Like I feel like with the book, like as you read the word reads you. Like it's looking for what is in you as well. It's part of why it's been able to sustain for so long, because it's a living book, because we're living, and like our perception or interpretation or our understanding, depending on where we are in life or where we are in time or where we are in the world. But I definitely think there is an element of experimenting that is needed, you know.
So then you would agree then that one should take a step back every now and then to just be reflective and take a purposeful look at one's life and see where you're at, and if you're not quite where you should be, you know, redefine, readjust. Yeah, I mean, this is what experimentation is about,
Absolutely.
right?
Every single day, every single week, every single month, take some time to check. Like I have beef with the past, and I'm always talking about this, but the path is the value of the path. The path is for learning. It's for extracting lessons and equipping ourselves to move towards like more blessings. So I wouldn't say go back, but stop. Look, I mean, it says be still and know that I am God, you know? Yes. And like for me, like I literally equate purpose. Whenever I read God in the Bible, I read purpose, because God is purpose and purpose is God, right? So it's kind of like be still and know that this is purpose. Be still and check in whether this is still God or this is still purpose. And we're incredible beings. Like we can feel when we're off. We can feel when we're on. We can feel when something is resonating. We're like, oh, this is not quite for me. But we just we're not. Well, I'm going to speak maybe as Africans, maybe as Zimbabweans. We're not so used to like tuning into that little voice or that little feeling and saying, you know what, this doesn't really feel right for me, and actually going with that, or saying, you know what, this feels incredibly great for me, and actually going with that. And that's a part of purpose. That's a function of purpose, trying to communicate with you. So, you know, I definitely think it's important to take that time to just be still and check in. So in such a time, for example, I mean, let's just go back to talk about the current times. So here I am. I think I gave you the example of that person probably lost both parents, you know, is in this place. What would you then say and give advice to somebody like that? Probably lost their job, lost their only source of income, and has 5 mouths to feed, or perhaps is currently, you know, on a hospital bed and struggling to survive. You know, what would you say in relation to purpose? What message would you give somebody like that? That's also many different circumstances. So I'm going to give you the one that is closest to me, like, because I've had to speak to someone, and that's like from the place of loss. My best friend lost his mother yesterday.
Oh no, I'm so sorry. Yeah.
And a week ago, you know, in my own household, we lost my stepmom. And in both of those situations, particularly in my best friend, I've had to, and I think in about a month before that, my partner lost her grandfather, you know. So, but all three of these different situations, and I'm the oldest brother, so even with, like, you know, my siblings who are left, you know, it's been a case of this. Like, and for me, I don't know what it is or why, but I lean on purpose, and I have to. And I've just been saying, like, look, that we think we're losing people. It's people's bodies that are dying, but they had something in this world that they put in this world. Maybe it was a function of their purpose, maybe it wasn't, but there was a light, there was something, a way that they touched you and everyone who they touched, different ways, right? You bring those things together and you've still got the person. You bring all those people and those pieces that they were blessed to be touched with, and you've still got that person. So I really feel in this time of loss, it's it's a case of kind of, again, being still, slowing down and being like, yo, what was it about this person, my mom, my aunt, my uncle, whoever you've lost? What is the thing that they poured into me or into my life, or that I saw them pour into their own or the lives of others, that I know that I need to carry the torch of, that I know that I need to continue to pour out into the world. And in so doing that, like, I almost feel like if 5 people who knew one person whose body is no longer with us took the part that they kept with them from that person is still there. The thing that they were, the most important, or the important part that they were putting out into the world, is still there and still being put out into the world. Whether it was the way they loved, or whether it was the way they encouraged, whether it was the way they took care of their garden. You know, like sometimes, you know, purpose is transferable, and it does not end with that person. Sometimes, even when we say purpose paints pictures, the vision that I may think I have, it may not just be my vision. It may be like something far from the distance that I never reach. But maybe 10, 15 years from now, someone else has this episode of this podcast and goes, wow, that's kind of similar to what I've been trying to do. And maybe 20 years from now, it's possible to actually reach it, but I've done my part in just getting on the path and walking or working towards that. Like, so like that's one thing I love about purpose, is that it's never ending. It keeps us alive.
It's almost like your true north, right? It's almost like the compass that just keeps you on the right path.
Yeah, I mean, it at least points you beyond the horizon. Like that's. It's that reason to like get out of bed, lift up your head.
Right.
Yeah. So
because I kind of think that there's quite a lot of people who feel like they don't have a reason to get out of bed.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely. But give you perspective, which is very weird. You know, like it'll enable you to change perspective, because again, it goes back to that thing of hope, confident expectation. So if you are hopeful and you have a confident expectation that something is a certain way, you will find the way to make it that way, because one of another superpower of us as humans, that we are meaning making machines, you know. We can, and that goes for the good and the bad. We don't realize how much, and we spend a lot of our time giving bad meaning to things, but we are meaning making machines, and like we can do that in the good side as well, you know. And one of the things I believe, again, I guess another kind of guiding principle of purpose for me, is that the meaning of life is to give life meaning. You know, what can you fill it up with? How can you color it? What are you gonna make this mean to you, and then ultimately to other people as well?
I'm just thinking, you know, as you're talking, you know, I'm thinking of someone. I don't know if you know a guy called he's South African, called Richard Wright. He is a 3-time stage 4 brain cancer survivor.
Oh wow.
You know, who overcame all odds of beating cancer, while at the same time competing in some of the world's toughest endurance events, you know, including, I think it was 6 Ironman triathlons at that time. And this is a guy who is, and so he's since become I would call it another, you know, Prince of Purpose.
Yeah.
I mean, he wrote a book called what's the name of that book? I think it's called The Power of Purpose. I think, The Power of Purpose. It's called The Power of Purpose. And you know, it's people like that, and you look at and you're like, you know what? Right. Purpose can do a lot in terms of just getting you out of that bed. It can do a lot in terms of giving you hope. It can do a lot in terms of directing you and leading you to the place where you're meant to be, which is, I guess, your destiny. It can do a lot just for you to become someone of impact, impactful, purpose, vision focused, vision driven. It is quite a powerful thing, purpose.
I remember who said, it's like Friedrich Nietzsche or something, said like a man with a why can withstand any howl.
Yes, I know that quote. It's one of my favorite quotes, and it just makes so much sense. he just put it so nicely that, if you don't have your why, then, well, what then reason do you have? And therefore, without a why, I like to believe that without a why, to me, it then equals hopelessness.
Yeah, I would agree with you. But I'm fortunate enough to have, I have two best friends. So there's the one who just recently suffered incredible loss, but then there's my other best friend on the other side, and he, oh man, I absolutely adore him. He is, I guess, something of like a modern day philosopher, and we go back and forth a lot because he kind of like doesn't believe in purpose in a way. And I love it because it's constantly challenging me to kind of like, how do I articulate my understanding or my idea? But then also kind of makes me kind of even go as far as thinking, well, maybe some people just aren't meant to ever tap into their purpose. But he's not hopeless. He's perfectly fine. And then I also think, well, maybe it's just like a certain stage of life or something. So that I don't know.
I think it is.
It's tricky.
I think it is.
It's very tricky. And I love it though. I love it because I like that God has placed someone in my life who will constantly check me, challenge me, and call me out and kind of push me to kind of go further, go a bit further with that, unpack that a bit further.
Can I put forward a proposition? Perhaps maybe he being in your life, his purpose is to be the person who challenges you.
Ooh,
maybe you should look at it that way
and
say that.
He's gonna hate that. That is incredible. Yeah, I like that.
I think next time you speak to him, just say, keep it coming, dude. Keep it coming, because
he can't help him. He can't help himself.
You see, you're fulfilling your purpose, so keep it coming,
Yeah.
Because it's pushing me to my purpose. It's pushing me towards the direction I should be going.
I like that. You're absolutely right.
Whoa! You must tell me what happens. Tell me what happens when you tell him.
I will. He and I have been like just debating. Like, well, I'm the one who's delaying, but we want to do a podcast together. Because we were constantly just having long conversations about these kind of things, and just like him playing devil's advocate. So I think
that would be awesome, because it would be nice to have like the both schools of thought.
Yeah.
And I think, well, not that I think, I know that which school is going to win anyway, but it's just nice to have that that challenge, and just to get people thinking, I think.
Yeah.
So go for it. I
think that's definitely going to get on with that.
Yeah. So I think maybe the last question I'm going to ask you. I for me, I could go on talking about purpose.
You and me both.
And the last question I'm going to ask you is, in all of this, right, and everything that we've discussed, and just we've touched a little bit about Africa, we've touched we've gone deep and personal and spoken about your best friend's mom. We've touched quite a lot of things, but I think one of the I think I explained to you at the beginning when we first spoke, I think a few days ago, was that this is the idea of this is hopefully to bring hope, to Africans out there. Africans are going through stuff, and it's not necessarily just about the pandemic, but just in general. And hopefully, it will be something that will impact Africa in some sort of way in its growth, right?
Yes.
So my question to you is, what is your wish for Africa? You as Tehn.
My greatest wish for Africa would be to see my vision for Zimbabwe realized, and that is the promise of a greater Zimbabwe. Because I believe that, stronger individuals, stronger communities, stronger countries benefit the whole. You know? So that would be my personally, my greatest wish for Africa would be the promise of a greater Zimbabwe. That's like my vision for Zim. Like, not necessarily, like, you know, maybe not in my lifetime to see the whole greater Zimbabwe, but at least to have a nation filled with people who are willing to accept and take up and believe in the promise of a greater Zimbabwe. And I believe that would do, just by the domino effect, that would do wonders for Africa.
It's like having Africa being a body, and one part of it is you know, maybe the foot, you know, is limping, and therefore obviously it affects the whole body. I guess.
I believe like the continent has so much untapped greatness and just goodness to gain from what is from what is and what could be Zimbabwe. That would be the greatest. That would be the greatest gift I wish for Africa to get some.
Mine too. Now that you've articulated it that way, I mean, for me too. I mean, it is the motherland. So I would really just would love to see it, you know, become the breadbasket again and more. You know, I would love to see it at that. You know, get back to its feet. And then I think. Yeah, man. Thank you so much. And oh yes, actually, I just want to ask you something a little more personal. Let's just get a bit more personal. Speaking about purpose, something aligned to purpose. I mean, you're the Fresh Prince of Purpose on a daily basis. What is the one thing that gets you motivated thinking about purpose? And I love music. You're a musician. What is the thing that's playing in your ear that's getting you on the purpose tip? You know. What is it? What are you listening to? Who are you listening to? Or who is, I mean, we're getting a bit pop culture-y here, but who is the person that you, or the artist that you, African, we're taking it African, that you know, would like to...
man. Okay, well, right now, I don't know if it doesn't necessarily like move me to purpose or anything, but right now my favorite African artist or project, because my favorite African artist is Burna Boy. My favorite project right now is Wizkid's Made in Lagos.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
I haven't listened to that one, but
I think it's absolutely amazing.
I think I'm gonna do that.
And keep in mind, Burna Boy is my favorite artist, my favorite African artist.
Yeah.
But it was last year. Wizkid put out he put out my favorite African project.
Oh wow! And that's gonna give me something to listen to this week.
Yeah, but
hopefully for everyone else who's listening.
But honestly, as far as purpose, every day there's a prayer that I say that just gets me into gear, and it's based off of a verse. I think it's Isaiah. How can I forget the verse? But I think it's like Isaiah 50 verse 4. I'm probably wrong, but like it kind of captured my purpose for me, and I kind of wrote this short little prayer that I say every Isaiah 50 verse 4. I say this prayer every morning before I have to go live, and it just reminds me of my purpose and that I have a purpose.
Oh wow. Tehn, thank you so much. I wish we could just, you know, I wish we could have like a whole fireside chat with, you know, different purpose makers and even those like your friend who are challengers, and just sit there and
just chop it up.
And just exactly. But soon come.
I look forward
one
to
day.
It. I look forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Like a purpose cafe?
Yeah, yes. Cafe somewhere in the heart of Africa, somewhere, maybe on Lake Victoria or something like that, you know.
Yeah,
maybe sit and chill and I don't know, sip on something interesting. You know,
a purpose colada.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
Purpose colada. Tehn, that is hilarious, actually. In fact, between you and me thinks that you're high on purpose. Excuse the pun. But hey, I think it's something that the world needs more of, right? Hey, purpose chasers, until next time, have a super purpose-driven week and go get what's yours. Bye-bye.